I'm going to be bringing on somebody to interview. His name is Marc Lore, and I'm going to talk about Marc right now really quick so you can know who that we are talking about. And I think we can learn a lot from him. I know I can learn a lot from him. As I was reading about Marc, I realized that we also have crossed paths in one way or another, or kind of been, in the same realm one way or another. All right, so check this out. So Marc graduated from Bucknell University and went on to hold various investment banking positions, including Executive Vice President of San Juan International Bank in London and Vice President of Emerging Market Risk Management at Credit Suisse First Boston. Wow. Think about that. He was over at Credit Suisse First Boston, and I was a messenger at First Boston. All right, there you go. Co-founded and became the CEO of The Pit Inc., an internet market making collectible company constructed as it is so dark in here, constructed as an alternative to eBay, which was sold to the Topps Company in 2001, and in 2005 co-founded and became CEO of Quidzy, the parent company of e-commerce website diapers.com, soap.com, wag.com, and more. Of course, that's brilliant names, and you already know what went on with that, which was sold to Amazon in 2011, and founded and served as CEO of jet.com. I met with the Jet guys. I didn't get to meet with Marc, I don't believe, when it first started blowing up, and which grew to $1 billion gross merchandise value run rate in its first year before being acquired by Walmart in 2016, and is currently the president and CEO of Walmart US e-commerce. And this is why a lot of this information is going to be important, because a lot of people want to get into Walmart. A lot of people want to know about how to sell online. A lot of people want to know about pivoting. Well, this is the man that we are going to talk about this stuff. So why don't you, I'm going to bring Marc in now.
Hey, Damon, how's it going?
What's up, Marc? How you doing, man?
Good, doing real good. Yeah, great to
Marc,
be here.
Did we meet in person when you were at Jet or no?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, because you look very familiar. And, when I was over at Jet, what I found fascinating, and you can elaborate because we were kind of just running through it, but nobody had a desk. Was that correct? Everybody kind of like moved around and they couldn't sit in one desk for 3 days or more than 3 days. And they kind of had to just move around to there were desks, physical desks there. But is that, it was something like that, right?
Yeah, it's something, yeah. I personally didn't have a desk. Never had a desk. It was always just, sit wherever on a different day and use mobile. But we also encourage other people to sort of do the same. And, rather than break up the organization by functional area, we thought, there's certain projects that are, need people from different functional areas. And they need to sit together and work together on a project. And so they would sit together, and when the project was over, they might move to another project and sit somewhere else and things. So it was sort of based on what teams were working on at the time. I think it worked well. I think probably do it a little bit differently next time, but learned a lot. I think there's a lot of good things to learn there.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting experiment because in one way you stop people from being cliquish, right? Mm-hmm. And another way though, you don't. Yeah, in another way, what if I was, because I've lost employees who just didn't like who they were sitting next to, and it didn't mean that they quit because they didn't like the person sitting next to them, but their overall work experience wasn't great. And that led them to not be happy because maybe this person was obnoxious. Maybe this person was always complaining. Maybe this person was, eating some stinky food next to them all the time. And they didn't realize how miserable their day was until they said, hey, I found another opportunity. So I find that odd. And today where people are working virtual, how do people not go into their own cliquish rooms? You know what I mean? Virtually. And I don't know. I thought maybe I'd just ask you that question.
Damon, I think it's a great filter too. So when you're working at a startup, things are moving so fast, there's constant change, there's constant pivoting. People need to be comfortable with change. So if there are individuals that know kind of how the organization operates, and that you don't have your steady desk, come to the same place every day and sort of expect the same thing day after day, you can weed some of those people out that aren't going to be, they're not comfortable moving desks. They're not going to be comfortable with the speed in which the startup needs to move and make changes. So it was a nice filter. I think we brought in a a great group of dynamic individuals there. And like I said, I would change some things, but overall, I think it worked well.
All right, cool. And one more before we get into some of that, and I think I like that change topic because definitely people want to know about that. But I think I shared it in the opening. So you worked at Credit Suisse First Boston. Were you in the, because I was actually, during high school, I had the fortune of going to the school that has something called a co-op program, so I can work 1 week and then go to school the alternative weeks. And I was a foot messenger over at First Boston on, what was it, 55th Street or 53rd Street? Where was that? And Madison.
I was downtown. I was Credit Suisse downtown,
Okay.
and then eventually in London. But that was in, I don't know when you were there. That was 1995 to 1997.
Yeah, I was there 1985 to 1988 or something like that.
Okay.
Interesting time. All right, so let's get into you. So you graduated, and you, as we just talked about, you were at Credit Suisse, you were investment banking, and then how did you decide that internet marketing, and making collectibles and the internet was where you wanted to go?
Yeah, no, I mean, as a kid, so, when I was 4 years old, I have something that I wrote up as a kid and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a farmer because they grow stuff from nothing. And so I was sort of like born with this idea of wanting to build and build. And I did every startup you could possibly imagine as a kid, growing up in grammar school, newspapers, recyclables, mowing lawns, picking weeds, selling baseball cards, everything. And, I when I went to college, there wasn't this idea that you would graduate and go work for a startup. I graduated in '93 and it just wasn't a thing then. But I always had that drive, that bug to want to be an entrepreneur. And so I was in banking, which is the most logical thing for me. I love stocks and math and things like that. But after doing that for 6-7 years and watching the boom of the internet, I just started feeling like, no, I have to get out of banking. This is not something I want to do the rest of my life. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I was making really good money. I was, I think, 28 years old at the time, almost 29. And I just decided one day I'm going to quit and be an entrepreneur. And I just went in my boss's office and said, Jerry, I'm gonna quit. I'm really sorry. And he said, wait, where are you going? I said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know yet. And he said, you're crazy. And I said, maybe, but I need to do this. And he said, well, if you're that crazy, put me down for the first, investor, and I'll put 50 grand in. And that was really, I didn't really know people with money or anything. That was like the sort of seed, that 50 grand. And from there, I said, okay, Jerry, 50 is not going to cut it. Can you introduce me to a couple more people? And then he introduced me to a couple and a couple and a couple and a couple. We never raised venture or any kind of institutional capital, but we did get 60 angel investors to come in, and we had enough money to sort of build the business and sell it. So that's the story there.
That is a lot of guts, because I think that I would have tried to bridge it in a little bit closer to the chess kind of way to watch my downside. I think that I would have said, well, I'm investment banking and there's got to be divisions around here. Can I get my feet wet by taking a more aggressive play on some opportunities out there with the investment bankers' money or the VC's money, and then say, hey guys, let me head up this one, and I'll, or let me head up this other area, or I'm going to leave. And then I would have, I think I would have just done a little bit different. Thank God you did that. But why didn't you decide to just kind of leverage a little bit more your relationship, stay within the system, getting paid while you just had a better position in some
I know. There's, like you said, there's a couple different ways to approach it. My way has always been, and it's worked, is just go all in. And I always felt like I go all in on this, and for some reason it didn't work out. I could always come back to banking. Like, I wouldn't be out for 10 years. It'd be a few years. I'd know if it worked and come back. So I always kind of felt like I can do that. And that was my sort of safety net, but it wasn't much of a safety, because I basically put my entire savings into the business as well, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But if you want to motivate yourself and really, go all in, that's one way to do it. In fact, now, Damon, I think that's the whole reason why I was able to raise the money. So we never would have been able to raise the money. You know, investors were saying, wait, you quit this really great job, you're going to do this full time, and you're investing all your savings into it. Maybe I should invest too.
Yeah, people love to know you got skin in the game. You know, a lot of times we're in Shark Tank, and there's a question that there's no right answer. Where we go, are you working a day job right now, or are you all in on this? And some people need to say, I'm working a day job because, listen, I got 3 kids and I've been slowly growing it, and that's why I'm not going to stress you for the money, but I'm going to slowly move and transition from my day job here. Or some people go, nah, I'm all in. I am all in, and and I don't know if there's a right answer. It's just, depends on who your investors are. Yep,
I agree. And as an investor on the other side, I do look for that because I believe in it so strongly. When you have someone that really that's smart, hungry, passionate, and they can't afford to lose, those are the people I like to back. I don't like when there's an easy escape hatch. I find that when things get really hard, people take it. And so I always put myself in a position where there was no escape hatch.
Now, what I find fascinating about you is that you've had several exits, and a lot of times, and again, there is no one way to skin a cat, right? And we may have a difference and we don't have a difference in philosophy. I actually love your philosophies, but some people will say, hey, don't go into a business already looking in the rearview mirror like you want to exit, or this is supposed to be your baby, don't you love it forever, or when do I exit? So I'm like this with FUBU. FUBU, I think that if I really put my head to it, and my partners, all of us just really concentrate on that, and I cut all the other things that I'm doing outside of the world, I think that I can get FUBU back to where it was in the past. However, I love opening and learning new things and new routes, and I love looking at new tech and new this and that. And maybe I don't have ADD, ADHD, but I love that. And I watched Richard Branson speak one day, and he said, I did the most that I can do with Virgin, and now at Virgin Records. And I just love to unravel and do new businesses, and I got 300 new businesses now. You with the exits, like you've been doing, is it because you love the challenge of the new route? Is it because you see just new opportunity? You get bored where you're at here? I'm just curious on your philosophy.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I feel like each time, I've done started and sold 4 startups, and each one, seems to get bigger than the one before it. And it's really because, with each startup, you learn something new. And I do like building stuff. Want to be a farmer and grow stuff from nothing still is inside of me today. Like I love building something from nothing. I love watching, people grow with the organization and say that, hey, this is the best job I've ever had. I focus a lot on culture, try and create a culture that, people, really flourish in and love to talk about when they leave the company. I love that. So starting from scratch with the new lessons, with a clean slate, it doesn't need to be a certain sector. It's more just, building something that has the potential to impact, employees, customers, shareholders in a positive way. And hopefully, if things go really well, maybe make an impact on the world. And that's always been what's driven me.
Perfect. So now let's go to where people really need your insight and knowledge. I mean, you're the CEO of Walmart, e-commerce, U.S. e-commerce, and I could talk to you about hours for this, but let me just start going on some smaller topics maybe. So, what are we looking at with brick and mortar today and e-commerce, and what can you share with people? Not necessarily about Walmart. I want to get into Walmart in a second, but what can you share with people about e-commerce? There's some little nuggets that right now they can take away from you and either reinforce something they already know, or they can start going down a different path. They are now either a retail store, or they're selling. They're either a brick and mortar retail store, or they're selling a product, and either all or a portion of their sales are depending on brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think as we all know, and we can see it with COVID, the acceleration of e-commerce. Like e-com is the future. I think it'll continue to accelerate, but it's not e-com without stores. I think the future is really one in which omni-channel wins. The combination of shipping to home and shipping from store. I think the benefit of stores is you have forward deployed inventory that's close to the customers. And it's essentially in a warehouse where the warehouse costs are already paid for by the walk-in traffic. And so the marginal cost to ship stuff, to pick something and ship something from a store when it's only a few miles from a customer is very advantageous. And so how do you leverage that? It's also faster. So I think we see where the puck's going in terms of like delivery times getting faster and faster. Back in 2005 with diapers.com, we started shipping overnight to most of the country, and that was like unheard of at the time. And today it's pretty common, overnight delivery by many retailers, now pushing same-day delivery and even 1 hour delivery, 30-minute delivery. So who's better positioned than brick and mortar that are within a few miles of a customer to be able to deliver something within 30 minutes? And then you start adding and throwing in there, drones as well, which is going to make it even that much faster. And so I do think it's a combination of the two channels that wins long term. That's why I'm so excited about Walmart.
But do you make it more experiential, where people get an experience in the store now? And, like I was on, I think TMZ something the other day, and I said, fashion companies have a huge advantage right now. I mean, listen, if you have a store, like you said, it's a warehouse, it's an open space. Why aren't they putting up a bunch of cameras and runways so people can model their clothes and, be on their LinkedIn or their IG showing, how beautiful they look that day and moving content? Or is it, the mother who needs to, she likes the product, she's seen it online, but I need to touch and feel this thing. I need to see how it works, or how, like where is the kind of hook to get people to really support retail? And then you get their information and either they come back to retail, or you get their information, you mail it to them from some other location. Hold on, Mark just went off. Here it comes again. All right, there you go. Sorry.
Hey, Jim. Yeah, so no, I think you're absolutely correct. Brick and mortar has the advantage of creating experiences, and I think we're just starting to see that. But there's a big opportunity there going forward. That's another reason why I like the omni-channel strategy. Another thing that we should see soon in the coming next few years is augmented reality. So the idea of wearing a pair of glasses and walking through a store and being able to experience things that you just couldn't, being online alone. So I'm really excited about augmented reality. I think that'll really bump up the experience in stores.
For years, people were fighting. I saw the Macy's, the JCPenney's, and the Sears of the world going, our online purchases are only so much. And they ignored, I think, a lot of different forms of online purchasing now. Do you think they've woken up now to say, wait a minute? Because remember, a lot of them had dedicated customers because grandma had a JCPenney's card. You know what I mean? And, that was their loyal customer, and they were still shopping in stores because they were getting so many benefits from their cards and their membership. Do you think that they're waking up now and realizing that they need much different strategies?
I do. I definitely think they do. And I think one of the things that's most widely misunderstood from brick and mortar retail is this idea that if I take my in-store assortment and I put it online, I'm going to lose more money than having somebody come into the store and pick it off the shelf themselves. Because now you have to pick the product in a warehouse, you have to put it in a box, put dunnage around it, spend to ship it to somebody's house. And the idea is, wait a second, why do I want to do that? Why do I want to take a profitable business and then put it online and make it more unprofitable and cannibalize my profitable sales with unprofitable sales? But I think the big key learning that the industry has had over the last few years, and brick and mortar retail is starting to figure this out, is that you're not going to make money by taking the head of the assortment, basically the best-selling items, and putting them online. That the best-selling items online basically unlock this unlimited shelf space where you can sell millions of longer tail items that get to ship together with the head of the assortment. And so that's where the real margin is. And so if you look at a P&L of an online retailer, all the money is made in that long tail of products beyond the best-selling stuff. And so without that long tail, either through marketplace or an extended first-party assortment, the math is never going to work. It's never going to pass.
All right. So for some of the dummies out there like me, you basically said that if I put this great thing online here, and then you got the, well, if you like this or other people like this, you can buy this, you can buy this, you can buy this, or similar items or various items. Are you saying that you now open up millions? Because if I like this, I go into the store and I went physically into the store and I went and bought this one piece. I'm not going to easily be able to walk that whole damn store and go, if you like this, you would like this, you would like this, you would like this. But if I'm online, I can just move with my finger and go bang, 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 bang. And I just opened up to millions of other products, you're saying?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. More size configurations, colors, other types of designs and things. Yeah, it just opens up a lot more assortment. And the longer tail assortment has higher margins. And so how do you mix into that longer tail? That's the key.
And so and I think that's a perfect lead into telling me about Walmart.com and like, where do you see the advantage? Is this the main advantage? Where is the advantage to the customer for Walmart.com? Or maybe is it, hey, I'm DAYMOND JOHN. I got this idea of this company I want to start, and I'm starting it, but I want to be in Walmart. And I keep telling people, be careful about that request because Walmart's big. Yep. Will you give me an option now to be on Walmart.com to see how I perform, to maybe move me into stores? Like, give me all the advantages of Walmart.com.
No, that's exactly right. If you're have a product and you want to sort of test it first to see what demand's like, definitely start on Walmart.com. And it's, we've got 100 million products on there, so adding additional products is easy. Adding products in a store.
You have 100 million products on Walmart.com?
Roughly, yeah, roughly 100
million. So you mean
million.
you have 1/3 of the United States population on Walmart.com in
products? Basically, yes. Yeah, so you can find anything you want there. But I think it's a combination of being able to go on Walmart.com and find anything you want, coupled with, we just launched Walmart Plus, which is a membership where you can get all the stuff from the Supercenter delivered same day to your door with free shipping. And that includes food at amazing Walmart prices, plus, another nearly 100,000 general merchandise products in the Supercenter.
Now, being a vendor of record on, for a big box like you is extremely challenging. You got to fill out something that looks like a Bible when you're sending something to the stores. You got to be able to take it back. You got to do a lot of stuff like that. How challenging or how easy is it, and what's the process to get onto Walmart.com?
Walmart.com is a lot easier. Yeah, I mean, there's still forms to fill out. If you're a third-party marketplace and you're going to ship it yourself, much easier. If you want to be first-party and you want us to buy the inventory and stock in a warehouse, it takes a little bit longer. But no, it's not going to take as long as it would to get into a store, because the store, the product's curated, so you're dealing up against a lot of competition. Online, that's not the case. We have 100 million products, and we could add the 100 million in first product too without much concern. So yeah, it's a great place to start, see what demand's like, and then from there think about stores.
So do you also because obviously there's various ways to capture names or not capture names. Can I capture the names of the people I'm selling to, or their direct contacts, their emails, or do I need to put something in the box for them to then want to reply to me to join up, or at their will? Yeah,
exactly. You can't. We definitely don't share because customer privacy issues, but you would certainly get the sales and continue to market to customers on Walmart.com and do more sales. Eventually get in stores. I mean, I think it's a great and easy way to access more customers.
I mean, I never understood why people complain about that, because I've never gotten one email from somebody who bought a pair of jeans or t-shirts from me when they walk through any of the retailers 20 years ago. I never got any of that information. You don't get that information unless you go and seek them, or they say, I want to know more about you, and then they send you their information. And that really has something to do with your customer service or your marketing, or the way that you're going to follow up with them to make sure that they're okay, or when they reach out to you generally, it's either for them to get more information from you, or if they have a problem, and you can often turn those problems into a lot more sales,
Absolutely. Yeah. So
what do you think people get wrong about entrepreneurship?
I think I see a lot of people that sort of like the idea of being an entrepreneur, but they're not mentally prepared for what that means. So what I mean by that is, in order to be a successful entrepreneur, I think you have to be prepared to take significant risk. That's the bottom line. If you're uncomfortable taking risks, it's really not for you. If you're uncomfortable with, changing on a dime and being completely adaptable, then it's not for you. And I definitely see people that, are not, they're more risk adverse, or they're not comfortable with change, wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I think if that's the case, it's just probably not a good idea, because it's risk taking not only to start the business, but there are constantly decisions that need to get made throughout the life of a startup where you're needing to take risk. And what happens is, like, if you're in a big corporation or a big business, you look at probability of something going wrong, and it's 5%. You're going to do something, and there's a 5% chance it becomes a disaster. You're not going to do that in a big company, because why risk it? Why risk a disaster? In a startup, if the probability of you going under and going bankrupt is 20%, well, then 5% looks pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're constantly weighing these decisions, and you're having to do things that have a low probability of success, and you're having to go after it in a way that your mind wouldn't ordinarily go after something. I tell people all the time, the reason why startups exist and they're not just done inside of a big company, because big companies have the cash, they have great people. They could do startups and build startups inside the organization. And to some extent, we do that at Walmart. But if you look at the risk profile of an individual, building a startup inside of a company, they look at something, they say, this has a 30% chance of success, and they stop there. They don't say, wait, this has a 30% chance of being 100x. Right. If you work at a corporation and you look at something that has 30% chance of success, why do you want to fail 70% of the time and have to tell your boss, yeah, I failed, but it was a great idea and it had 100x if it would have worked? It's like, yeah. All they see is the failure. And so people are relatively risk adverse in big companies. But if you're a startup founder and you have a 30% chance of 100x, you do that all day long. And that's what venture capitalists do. They look for startups that have a 30% chance of working 100x, and they build a portfolio of those, knowing that a few will hit and more than pay for all the losses. And that's the very big difference. And so as an entrepreneur, if you're going into a business and a startup and you're like, oh, I feel so confident, this is like 95% this is going to work, I wouldn't recommend that, because if it's that high of a probability, big companies are going to do it. They're going to compete. It's too easy not to do it. You want to go after those opportunities with low probability of success with massive outcome. And not everybody's comfortable with that.
It would have taken me 2 hours to explain what you just explained. I think the best way to say that as well is, like you just said it, like, a lot of time we see technology and various other things. Listen, we've even seen it with, technology, like, you have all these things come on and Snapchat and everything else, and the big boys and girls who are just like them, they just turn on a switch and create another version of Snapchat, various other things. So we always say, well, why can't somebody else turn on the switch really quick if it's a lower probability of a failure on those things? So totally understand that. And I'm going to let you go in a minute. I just got one other question. And again, of course, if you have any questions for me, please, we can share it. But you talked about augmented reality, going in and probably, having this virtual world and everything else. But you did mention drones. Where are drones today? Because I love technology. I know that they were testing them in Arizona for various different things, because I think Arizona is totally flat, not that many lines to cross. A lot of the lines, the telephone lines, underground, so they can fly freely. And I know they're using them in like emergency response. Somebody has a car accident. It's not that bad. A drone comes out, takes cameras and pictures, and you don't have a physical body that could be saving a life there, right? And all that kind of stuff. Where are we with shipping and drones and technology where it comes to e-commerce? Or even
I think
retail?
I'm not sure. No, Damon, we're at an inflection point right now. I don't think most people realize that, Walmart and others have already started shipping products via drone. in select areas, but to customers' homes, and it's only going to accelerate. I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see the vast majority of households in America with some sort of access to drone delivery. I would say within 5 years.
And that means, and that was my next question. Are you saying new communities that may be built may have the little thing on the top where the drone can come and land and drop? Or are you saying that houses right now, they'll say, well, I got an area for a small drone pad outside, or, you know, what's going on? Because I don't want to drive to my driveway and then run over Walmart's drone by mistake because it was dropping off something on the driveway pad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's definitely an issue. So the one thing about the drone is we can give you a very precise delivery time down to the minute. You know, we know when the drone's leaving, we know how many minutes it's going to take to get there. And so you tell us the spot within a couple meters where you want it delivered, on your front lawn, on the driveway, the backyard, and the drone will literally send it down with a parachute and hit it pretty close. So the drone doesn't have to get near the house. Yeah. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but yeah, that's one way.
Because I was thinking it's a big drone, and I'm going back to where I grew up in the hood. The drone comes down, and me and my man Pookie go out and grab the thing, and then we reprogram it. And then all of a sudden, you know, we got a free, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 drone, and we're just chilling. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, the drone never gets that close, and so it's just a very highly targeted parachute comes down with the box. So, and you know, it'll get more sophisticated over time, but that's where it is today.
Isn't it amazing where this world is going? I mean,
it's true. You have drones.
Type of stuff in my lifetime.
You have drones. I also think within the next 5 years we'll have these electric vertical takeoff and landing. These sort of like big drones that carry people. I think within 5 years, people in the U.S. will own one of these eVTOLs. They call them electric vertical takeoff and landing. It's basically like a small helicopter that's fully electric, that's safer, it's less noisy, and much cheaper to fly than a helicopter. And I think the next 5 years, we're going to start to see them. And then sort of the next 10 years after that, you're going to see it explode. It's sort of probably 5 years behind where drones are today. Yeah. But it's coming too. It's going to be a wild future, Damon.
So all the people listening to us right now who are bullshitting, not realizing where we're going, I'm not sure, you know, because listen, a lot of pilots right now, a lot of people, they could be taking up coding right now and various other things, or truck drivers who understand routing and drayage and various other things. They could be taking up a lot of other different courses, because when now all of a sudden automation comes to vehicles, autonomous trucks and drones come out, you can either sit there and say, I don't have a living anymore. Or you can say, no, I'm helping to program, because they still are not going to be able to think like humans. And people are going to need to be able to operate it from the back. But, you know, a lot of people don't listen to us, Mark. What's going on, man?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, there's going to be a need for pilots, and they're not going to be as sophisticated as somebody needing to fly a big jet. So I think the training period will be easier, because the things will be largely autonomous, but you're still going to need a pilot for quite some time. So I think, you know, that's a great career path. I think, you know, drone mechanics, eVTOL mechanics, I mean, this is where the puck's going. And so there's going to be, you know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs open in the future, and people could get ahead of that.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate your time, man. If you have any last remarks you want to say. Oh, by the way, thank you, Walmart, because I know that for years we worked on the Made in America program, where you guys, I know I sat on some panels and you guys helped a lot of different small companies, put them with manufacturers, put them on Walmart.com. And I know a lot of people never think of Walmart in that sense, because they get the other news that, oh my God, you guys are doing something from other places. When you're sitting here talking about all the people right now watching us who can go and list their product on Walmart.com, all the you know, our fellow Americans, and what you guys have been doing. So I definitely want to acknowledge that.
That's great. And the other thing I just want to leave folks with, Damon, is that on my LinkedIn, I have something called the Startup Stand-Up, where I basically mentor female founders with a focus on minority female founders to sort of help them through the process of putting a pitch deck together and raising money. And so I'll do that and then publish it on LinkedIn so others can hopefully learn something. But if there are any female founders out there that need help, certainly reach out, and we'll see if we can get them into the Startup Stand-Up on LinkedIn.
And Lord knows you got a huge network, and thank you for helping our Americans, especially our fellow female startups and entrepreneurs. And I know somebody desperately, Barbara Corcoran, probably needs that because she's just such a failure. I'm going to, you know, tell Barbara where she should go. All right, Mark, man, thank you for spending the time, and thank you for you know, making me listen. A lot of the stuff you tell me when I get on Shark Tank, I'm not going to give you any credit. I'm just going to start dropping it like it's mine. You know what I mean?
Feel free. Feel free.
And I'm looking forward to that drone that's going to carry my old butt around in another 10 years.
Yeah, great talking to you, Damon. Take care.
Peace.
All right, bye.